What do you do with all the stuff your kids create? Now, this is a conundrum I have been in for years because I have very creative children, like in the best way, but they are very creative, very prolific in the things that they're making. And I know there's moms that are like 24 hours, clean it up, or you're done, throw it away. But that has not worked in our house. They're making toys. They're making things they're playing with. So what do we do instead? So if you're a mom who has very prolific, very creative children, here are some things to think about, some things that are starting to work for us after years of puzzling this out.
Hi, I'm Jessica Jackson, and this is the new way to thrive in motherhood by leaning into who you are, what you love, your unique family situation and personal mission to create a life that you actually want to live. I want to invite you to join me in saying no to the life of the exhausted supermom, burnout, victim thinking, being pulled in so many directions, suffering through survival mode, or being lost in motherhood, and say yes to building strong families and moving forward on our greatest goals in order to create a fulfilling life that we are excited to wake up to each day and become a soaring mother. This is the Thriving in Motherhood podcast.
If you are enjoying this episode, I highly recommend checking out my free workshop, 3 Secrets to Do More of What You Love Without Hiring a Babysitter. I want to empower you to live and do the things that are most important to you. And so this workshop gives you a solid framework to move forward on so you can kind of fill in the gaps and start making progress on those things right out of the gate. You can check that at thrivinginmotherhoodpodcast.com/workshop. I'm going to tell you what we've done in the past and currently, but also a tweak that's changing our lives there at the end. So first of all, we have a set of 10 drawers in our dining room, and the top 4 are one for each child. So if it is a flat object, a piece of paper of something that they've made, big, little, small, it goes into that drawer. Now it sits in that drawer until the drawer becomes totally full, at which time I sort through it with my child, and we take pictures of things that are nice but not like essential to keep, throw away the stuff that they forgot about, don't care about, and then those things that really matter to them we put into their paper box. So every child has their own paper box. It goes from birth to year 18, and we just start filling it out. And with my oldest, who's 11, we just recently went through her entire box, and she was able to kind of sort through and start taking some things out that are maybe less significant to her and make room for the things that she wants to keep adding to her box. But that's how we manage the papers. Now, all those things that they create, I can't even begin to tell you. They create so many things that they're playing with. And pretty much anytime they read a book or watch a movie, there is going to be some 3D thing that's made from it. It's awesome. It's so fun. But what we are discovering is that there's starting to be a backup, a pile up, a build up, and they can't find things or play with things because it's kind of messy. But they also made it, so it's sentimental. Plus, it's cool. So what do you do in this situation? Well, we started creating maker boxes. So if they made something, they each get a plastic bin that's, this size. And they were able to fill up that maker box with the things they wanted to keep, they weren't done with, but they want to remember, and it's really cool. So this is like my 3D version of a paper box. It creates a container, a space, but so they don't have to throw it away right away. As time goes on, they might find it less important to them, they can let it go, but at least it creates a home. Now they have these stuffed animals that they create many things for, and they create so many things for them. We needed a special bin just for the things that go with those characters that they tell all their stories with. So that got another box, right? So we are evolving and realizing, okay, we need containers, we need to be able to organize, we need to be able to sort these things. And this works to a point, but guess what? The creations keep coming. So what do we do now? And this is something that I've been puzzling with for a very long time. And I know the obvious answer should be it doesn't fit in the container, one in, one out. But taking that down to a level that you can convince children who made amazing things to just like one in, one out, that's a hard sell. So we've been a little bit stuck until now. Let me actually add this first. This is all contained to their bedrooms. That's where we've decided. So the rest of the house can be clean and reset easily. Bedrooms haven't been. So because I was so focused on the rest of the house, this worked really well. And it helped the kids understand that I was modeling decluttering. I was very vocal about modeling, letting things go. Very vocal about like, hey, this was really great. I'm done with it now. Let's send it off. and throw it away or let someone else use it. And so as I modeled that and we would go into their space and work in their room and work with their things, I started to hear my daughter say, well, that was really fun when I made it, but I'm okay letting it go now. Or that was something that was important to me at the time, but it's not so important to me anymore. I can let it go. And when I asked her about it, she's like, well, that's what you said, Mom. I heard you saying those things. I was like, oh, cool. Awesome. So if you have really creative kids who have a hard time letting things go, that's very helpful, is if you start modeling the letting things go process, and not with their things, with your things, with the things in the house. I've even like intentionally let some things go that like they liked and I liked, but I was like, but you know what? They can see this process. I can still let it go. So intentionally modeling that is very important. But even that's probably not going to be enough to make great headway. And so this is where we came to the creation cycle. Now this is brand new. I've never taught this anywhere. My kids and I came up with this together on the spot, and I'm going to share it with you today. This has been just mind-blowing for us, life-changing for us, something we created together over breakfast as we talked through and problem solved about the situation that we were in, which is we have more things than fit in the containers, but they made them and they're awesome. So let's talk through what we do. And I have a picture here. We did it on the whiteboard together, so it's nice and messy, but I'm going to talk you through our drawing here. So the very first thing is you have an idea when you start creating something, right? It's so exciting. And that idea means you go and you gather your supplies so you can start creating that thing. And then you're going to make it, step 3. And then, in theory, so that's what we got so far, right? You have an idea, you gather your supplies, you make it. Then what happens? Well, at our house, the kids want a picture of it before it gets destroyed. Doesn't have to be talked about. That's not really essential. I certainly don't have pictures of everything, but if it's important, right? They want a picture of it. So because of that, there's some things that we were getting backed up with that did not get pictures of them. And so therefore they didn't get, put away or taken down or whatever. Also, the other thing that would happen is that we started to have a breakdown in the cycle. It was not completing. Instead, it was just starting to get piled up on surfaces, on tables, on chairs, on floors, in corners of bedrooms. And it just kept amassing with more and more and more things. And what was happening to those things? It took no time at all. My kids were like, they're getting smashed, they're breaking, they're stepped on, they're lost, they're getting dented. They had a long list of things that happened. Nobody liked that. So then we said, okay, well, what happens next? What's supposed to happen? What would it look like to complete this cycle? And again, they said this, not me. Well, okay, we would take a picture of it, and then you would put away all your supplies. Ding, ding, ding. And then you would enjoy the thing, and you could enjoy it by displaying it, or you might be enjoying it by playing with it, but you're going to enjoy it. And then I was like, what's next? And they're like, no problem. You put it away or you throw it away. Yes. Okay. And then you go back to having another idea. Now, one of the things that we identified in our family was that we had a couple of problems. So one, we were getting stuck because pictures weren't being taken of things. We have we're falling out of our cycle and we've got a buildup of problems. And the other thing that we realized was that there was no friction between idea and gathering supplies. Like my kids have access to all the supplies, all the cardboard, all the things. And so the moment they have an idea, boom, they jump into getting more supplies and going. And so there could be multiple things within the creation cycle, but that are not getting completed, right? So we just have a high output, but we're not making it back up and over of putting supplies away, enjoying the thing, and putting it away or throwing it away, finding a home for it or letting it go. And so because of that, we were starting to, again, make this big pile up. So now with my kids, we have a language for this entire process of how they're creating things. And because of that, now when when they get started, I'll say, well, wait a minute, is there something that you can complete in the cycle? We need you to put away your supplies first before you start something out. Or even we've corralled, or this is a process, but corralling all of the things that you use to create things with and actually putting it in my closet so that it slows things down. We need to stop the flow of projects a little bit. I haven't completely cut them off. That would be so painful, but we're slowing it down so that we can start working through the backlog with this idea of we're building up a skill set. We're teaching the process so that over time we will have a more fluid, controlled amount of how many things we have in the creation process, and going through the full cycle. So that is a skill set that we're working on with our family. Now, if you're like, oh, that's really cool, but my house is a disaster, I don't know how to do this. I recommend starting with Simplify to Soar Club. This is something that I did personally myself 4 years ago when I had 4 kids, 4 little babies, four kids, 6 and under, including a newborn. And we had just moved and it was so stressful and overwhelming and I was freaking out about my house, but also had all these other things going on that I needed to take care of and was sort of in survival mode with that new baby year. And so this is a way that I started making consistent, tiny baby step progress around my house that set it up so that I could create smooth running systems in household. But this was the very first step. So if you're like, this is so cool, but so stressful, I recommend checking out Simplify to Soar Club to just get you started. That's the very first place that you start, and then you'll build from there. So because of Simplify to Soar Club, we have already got a lot of things set up correctly in our environment so that we're ready to put a system in place for controlling the things. We have a spot to put papers. So if you're looking for that, you need a holding spot to put things, quickly sort without having to make a decision on them. After some, time has passed, then you've got a spot to keep the permanent storage of your special things. And then you've got, for your flat papers and also your maker bin. So for those 3D things that cannot let this go. We've got so many more elements to this. This is just like scratching the surface. This is probably like a whole course. Let me know if this is intriguing to you, if you want to know more about this entire process and all the systems we're building around it and what it looks like in our home. If that's something that's interesting to you, I can do more episodes or dive deeper or, create a course about it to really take you into it deeply. So you tell me in the comments below what you want. But then we've got this creation cycle that we're putting in on it. And so what you can start doing, and I feel like what's been so helpful for us is as you think, okay, what is happening as I'm looking around? Because now when I walk into a room, I can say, okay, that needs a picture. Oh, okay, did that get enjoyed? Yes or no? Oh, okay, this needs to be displayed. Oh, okay, this needs to be put away or thrown away. And my kids know it too. And so because we now can see anything in that room, anything in our house, on any surface, on any table, it's very quickly to see okay, this was something that was used as supplies. Now the supplies, it's time to put it away. We can just see where everything is in that cycle. And so the decision fatigue is worn way, way down. We don't just look at a room and be like, there's so much mess. Now it's like, okay, things are in all sorts of different phases and all sorts of different, and all the different process of creating something. That's great. Let's start tackling some of those easy, low-hanging fruit, and then we'll work our way up or keep enjoying what you're doing. So this is something that's helpful for my kids. It's helpful for me. Hopefully it's helpful for you. And just starting to have better words and verbiage around the creation that is happening in the walls of your home. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will talk to you next week.
Where you are planted, watch the blossoms grow.